On August the 20th, 1868, the worst rail accident in the history of rail in the United Kingdom took place over in Abergele in Wales. But what has Balderstone and St Leonards Church here near Salisbury got to do with that? So it was on Thursday morning on the 20th of August 1868 at around 7:15 when two trains collided in the Welsh town of Abergele. And at the time it was one of the worst, if not the worst, rail accident to occur in the United Kingdom. 33 people lost their lives in tragic circumstances. But what makes it stand out more against all the other rail crashes at the time, and obviously rail crashes later on in life or in the future, it was the manner of which these poor innocent people all passed away. Now, in amongst those 33 people who were sadly killed were 3 people that came from Blackburn. One of them was called William Townend Lund, and he's the reason why we're here at St Leonards here in Balderstone. But he was travelling with 2 brother-in-laws, William and Christopher. Now, there was a 4th man who was supposed to have travelled with them that morning, but fortunately for him, he was called up, and I think it was for the Preston magistrates for like a jury. So obviously he couldn't make the actual trip over to Wales. He did get on the train towards Preston, but then he obviously had to leave his companions behind. So the 3 people who you can guess this story revolves around today, one of them is not interred here at St Leonards, but his headstone is. Now, William Townend Lund was 39 years of age when he lost his life in the tragic rail crash of Abergele. Now, he was married in 1857 to a lady called Janet, and she apparently is somewhere interred in this churchyard, but we've tried looking for a grave and we can't find it. But yeah, he was married in 1857 to Jeanette. Now, she sadly lost her life, and we don't know for what reasons, in 1866. They had 3 children together. So obviously William was the sole provider for his children, but I think upon his wife Jeanette's death, I think the children went to live with Jeanette's sister. So even though you could say he was sole responsible for them, the sister, or his sister-in-law, was also looking after his children. Now, William was a successful businessman, and with his brother Thomas, they had a successful business in Blackburn up until I think 1866, 1867. Now, this could have all coincided with William's wife Jeanette passing away, but that business dissolved. And in 1867, later on, I think it was around about May 1867 or 1868 possibly, I'll put the year down below, William, he set up another business, and he was dealing with flour, I think he was dealing with cotton, and he was also dealing with coal. Now, he signed an agreement with a company, I think it was over in Bolton, where he was like he would become the main distributor for coal, and this made him very successful and very wealthy. Now, on the morning of August the 20th, 1868, like I said, William had travelled to Wales with his 2 brother-in-laws. He would never return, and neither would the 2 brothers, or the brother-in-laws he was with. Now, whilst we're not going to talk too much about the story of the train crash in today's video, we will be covering that at a later day, sometime I think around about May, when we go to Llandudno ourselves. The victims, they were that badly burnt because the paraffin and the heat that occurred from the rail crash, because of obviously the petrol, the petroleum, it was like an inferno, and all the victims were literally incinerated. They were cremated there on the spot. Now, apparently, I think it was all mine workers, when the two trains collided, they all formed a human chain, and they were fetching buckets of water to put the flames out. But it would take them quite a long time, a few hours, to get the flames down enough to try to obviously get any survivors out of it. Now, as you can imagine, there wouldn't have been any survivors. 33 people died. Only 3 of them could be identified through the features alone. The remaining 30 was so badly burnt, it was pretty much ash. And the only way that a lot of these victims could be identified were through personal possessions, such as watches, necklaces, chains, anything metallic which wasn't obliterated in the heat. Now, when news of the crash filtered back here to Blackburn, Thomas, the brother of William, made his way over to Abergele. Now, obviously, he went over to try to hopefully find his brother safe and sound. But I think deep down and within his heart, he knew, obviously, that was a long shot. Now, when he got to Abergele, he went to the actual service at St. Peter's, where the service took place. And like I said, there were 33 coffins that were laid out in a mass grave. And 30 of these coffins, all they had was a simple number. Each coffin was numbered 1 to 33. 3 of them, I think, had the names of the victims, but the other 30 had numbers on. That was the only way they could be identified. Thomas made his way to, I think it was a police station, where he went through personal belongings of all the victims. And he came across a set of keys, and I think it was Chubb, C-H-U-B-B. And these keys had a steel fob on with a number. When they contacted Chubb, the company themselves, they went through the records, and William Townend Lund, his name appeared on their registrars relating to that exact same number. So this confirmed to Thomas and other people that poor William had lost his life in the actual inferno of the rail crash. Like I said, it was that hot, pretty much all the people, all the bodies were turned to ash, just like in a crematorium. So it was assumed as well that obviously his brother-in-laws, Christopher and William, had also perished. It would make sense because them 2 lads, them 2 poor guys, were sat with William when obviously the trains collided. So obviously there was no sign of the 2 brothers. So it was ruled that obviously all 3 poor men were victims of the Abergele rail crash of 1868. Right, so here at St. Leonards in Balderstone is a memorial. It's a headstone for William Lund himself, not for Christopher and his other brother-in-law, the other William. But this is William Townend Lund's headstone, and as you see, it looks like a grave. We know for a fact that William is not interred here. Like I said, he's over in Abergele. But they had this headstone placed as a memorial because William was such a well-known and well-liked character in Blackburn. He did a lot for the place, you know, he was a successful businessman. But this is his headstone. But as you'll see, there is actually nothing much you can see. You can just about make out certain names. I think you'll just about, well, I don't know if the GoPro will pick it out, but we can just about make out William Townend, and it's Lund at the end. Very, very faint. You'll also see August 20th, I think it's 1868 there. Very, very faint. But yeah, it is there, just about. So yeah, so this is one of the first headstones we've ever come across where there's actually no remains buried below. Apparently it was quite common for headstones to be placed in towns and villages for people, especially obviously the rich, more well-known, more affluent people, in memory of obviously the person who's been killed or sadly died. As for Christopher and William, his brother-in-laws, we don't know anything more about if they had headstones anywhere else in Blackburn, or you know, like we just don't know if they had any erected in their name. But certainly this is William Townend Lund's memorial, if you will, or his headstone. Now, one of the saddest parts obviously about this tale, not only did 33 people lose their lives, but it was also William's children themselves. Now, obviously they were left fatherless, motherless, and whilst they might have been staying with obviously their auntie, it must have been hard for them. They were very young. I think one of them was 5, one was 7, I think one was 9. Again, I'll put the ages and the names down below. Now, Thomas took the railway network to court the following year, and he would argue, saying that obviously the children were going to be left struggling in life because the father was a successful businessman, and that income, that money that he was supplying for his family, for his children, was no longer there. Now, the court ruled in favour of the actual family, the Lund family, and they would award compensation, and I think it was roughly £1,450 per child that they got. And this, I think, equates, I could be wrong, but I think I read it equates to around £213,000 in today's money. Again, I'll put this down below. So they did get quite a lot of compensation. Obviously it doesn't bring back the family, it doesn't bring back the father especially. The mother had already passed away. But at least it was something that obviously they would have to help with their future, you know, if they had to go to privileged schools or whatever. But at least they got something from it. Doesn't bring back the family, I know that. But yeah, what a tragic way to lose your life. Not just obviously William and his brother-in-laws, Christopher and William, but all the other victims, the other 30 people who perished that day. Like I said, we're not going to talk too much about that story today, because we are going to Wales in May to Llandudno, and we're going to visit Abergele on the way and pay our respects to all the victims, and we'll get into the story a lot more whilst we're there. So keep an eye out for that video, guys, but we will let you know as and when that time comes round. Now, as we say goodbye to William, I mean, albeit he's not here, his headstone is, I hope you've enjoyed this short story today. Like I said, it's something, again, it's something different. So we've never, like I said, seen headstone, but without a victim or a body interred. It's something unusual and peculiar. But if you did like this video today, guys, don't forget to give us a big thumbs up. Don't forget to comment down below if you've seen places like this where there's headstones but obviously no body underground. And like I said, please share this video, get it out there. We are closing in now on 1,000 subscribers. I think we're up to about 700 or 720. But like I said, comment down below, give us a big thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. There's always more videos coming on a regular basis. But from here in St Leonards in Balderstone, I want you to take care, look after yourselves, and we will be back soon with another tale from a dark but illustrious past. Take care, guys.